Big Noon announced its schedule for the 2022 season insofar as we understand the games, and they are outstanding. Gonna go through the ones that I like the most and why I like them. Starting with Nebraska versus Northwestern in Dublin, Ireland on Saturday, August 27th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is, I think, a really interesting spot for both of those programs. Nobody expects much of Northwestern this year. Not that most people expect a whole lot of Northwestern in most years. They end up surprising us and end up in the Big Ten championship game. And I think they kind of like it that way because if you have expectations that are on the floor, there's nothing to ruin the season for you, really. Meanwhile, Nebraska is up against the wall, son. Like, Scott Frost needs a great season. And I think he's got players and coaches in place that can help get them on the good foot in their first game of the season overseas. They've got Casey Thompson. They've got Chuba Purdy. They've got Trey Palmer. We'll talk more about what I think is an underrated part of their team this year as we go further into the Big Noon schedule. Next on the list for me is Penn State at Purdue on Thursday, September 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Big Fox. This is also going to be like the first massively huge Thursday night game of the season. I'm very excited about Sean Clifford and perhaps Nick Singleton in the backfield. Sean Clifford is in a prove-it year. He is 23 years old. Okay? The last dude that I thought wasn't going to be any good at that age was Kenny Pickett. Heisman finalist, ends up being the only quarterback drafted in the first round of this year's NFL draft. Nick Singleton, though, may be the second coming of Saquon Barkley. We will see. That dude can squat an entire house. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he's from the area. He knows what it means to play at State College. I'm excited to see how Mike Yurcich puts him in positions to succeed and what Sean Clifford looks like in year two of Mike Yurcich's system. He's also got some more assets, like they lose Jahan Dotson, but they added Western Kentucky wide receiver Mitch Tinsley, and I expect him to go off because that's all that offense did was throw the ball all over the yard. And then they added underrated Maryland defensive end transfer Demian Robinson. That was an outstanding dude that they wanted coming out of high school, ended up in Maryland for a bit. Manny Diaz has a pretty good defense that he inherits from Brent Pry, who's the new head coach at Virginia Tech. I'm excited about that. Now, on the Purdue front, for me, you got a quarterback now when you used to have three. So let's see what you do with that. I don't understand why we're still in the spot where we don't expect Purdue to succeed. A, they're on the weaker side of the Big Ten Conference, and they will score on you given half a chance. They're adding a pretty good tailback. I expect them to find another way to come up with a wide receiver whose name is like David Bell, for instance. And you're like, who's David Bell? And then he's like, I'll show you who I am. Watch me do this. And then we can keep going on about how Purdue shows up in big games that we don't expect them to show up to. 2018 Ohio State, anybody, right? Now, next on the schedule, I want to talk about Alabama at Texas for a brief moment. That's Saturday, September 10th at noon, big noon, on Big Fox. Now, Arch Manning has said an official visit to both of these schools. We'll probably know something more about his recruiting by the time this game actually kicks off. But this is going to be a very interesting, if not pivotal game for Texas. Maybe not for Alabama. Alabama is expected to win. I think if you force most people to pick, they will tell you that Alabama's going to win by multiple touchdowns. However, your boy has been bullish on what Texas can be in 2022. And if you can beat Nick Saban and Alabama on the 40 acres, I will not be the only person saying Texas is back. I will be the person saying, I've been saying Texas is back since last May, and none of y'all wanted to believe me, and y'all clown me. Or we'll just clip this and we'll put it in black and white, and we'll show it on a Saturday night show of the Number Run Right show when I was wrong. Either way, you're going to get entertained by Alabama and Texas. Okay, Oklahoma at Nebraska. That is on Saturday, September 17th on Big Fox at noon. This, for me, comes down to Brent Venables versus Mark Whipple. You'll know that Mark Whipple was the offensive coordinator at Pittsburgh last year when he had the Biletnikoff Award winner, right, at wide receiver in Jordan Addison, and Kenny Pickett throwing passes all over the yard. the team that played in New Year's Six Bowl. He's since been added to this Nebraska staff and offense that I think is outstanding, right? I mentioned Casey Thompson. He gets another crack at trying to beat Oklahoma, the place that snubbed him. Remember, he played his high school football at Southmore and Newcastle in Oklahoma before eventually coming to Texas. Lost that game, gets another opportunity to beat up on Oklahoma, his last opportunity at what I think is a really great year for him to be at Nebraska because they got to win and they got to trust him to throw the ball down the field. But I think the underrated aspect of Nebraska's team right now is its tailback, Anthony Grant. He could have his breakout game against Oklahoma, and we would not be able to sneeze at that as Brent Venables would be the guy who is running that defense. Grant had 1,730 yards rushing, 18 touchdowns last season. That's 7.2 yards per clip at New Mexico Military Institute. He was the NJCAA Player of the Year. He was a first-team junior college All-American. Yeah, he can go. If this name sounds familiar, he signed with Florida State back in 2018. Since went to JUCO. He's come out at Nebraska. I expect them to feed him the rock and perhaps be their first 1,000-yard rusher in several years, quite honestly. Excited about Oklahoma traveling to Nebraska, where Lincoln is going to be rocking. They have been waiting for this game, and they are so looking for Scott Frost to get a big win in front of them. Okay, last game of the regular season on the Big Noon slate that I'm excited about is Michigan at Ohio State, Saturday, November 26th on Big Fox. I'm gonna wax poetic about my shop right quick because my shop, Dallas, New York, Thanksgiving, Ohio State, Michigan, Thanksgiving, USA, England, Thanksgiving. We're going to have such a good time. Like, this is a great weekend for sports. And I get to be in the middle of it with this Ohio State-Michigan game. I'm excited about this one, man. Ohio State fans want Michigan for the first time in over a decade. Like, about 7 years in, Ohio State fans are like, yeah, we got to beat Michigan. I mean, that's a given, but they ain't no good. Well, it's actually, they have been good. They've been a 9-win team. They've been an 8-win team. They played and won the Big Ten championship in the college football playoff last year over your dead body. I'm saying now we get to see the blood rising in Ohio State for the first time in over a decade. Look, you could go scorched earth in this game if you are a Buckeye. C.J. Stroud, Travion Henderson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba are going to get the green light to go at Jim Harbaugh's defense as often as they want. I would not be surprised to find out that there is no such thing as taking a knee in this game if they get a big lead. That said, Michigan is going to want Ohio State. They want to show this is not a fluke, and they want to come into your house and rob you. That's what they want to do. They want to be the knock-knock boys on your door. Coming back, hey, stick them up. We came to get what was ours, what has been ours, as we are the defending Big Ten champions. We beat you. I'm here for this. As an avid neutral in this rivalry, here for this. Like, this is what I really get up for in college football. The rivalry games where I know everybody gotta win. I'm so excited about Texas having to play Texas A&M in a couple years for that matter alone. Like, I need this in my life. I need the bragging rights for a full year. Speaking of which, Oklahoma, figure it out. Bedlam. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? We routinely, we destroy Oklahoma State. What are we doing here? Anyway, Pac-12 championship is also going to be on Friday, December 2nd at 8 p.m. Eastern on Big Fox. Mountain West championship earlier in the day, the next day on Saturday, December 3rd at 4 p.m. Eastern on Big Fox. And then the Big Ten championship game on Saturday, December 3rd, 8 p.m. on Big Fox. Had a great time at the Big Ten championship last year at Lucas Oil Stadium, which is basically a tin can that just keeps all the noise inside. It was loud. It was mean. It was fun. Sitting next to Devin Gardner, Braylon Edwards, my man Jeff Schwartz, chopping it up for what was a fantastic event. Very excited about the prospect of that in 2022. Thanks for watching this video. And remember, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos on the #1 Ranked Show YouTube channel.